So let's start sitting down like we were last week. And we'll sit crisscross applesauce. We'll kind of find our centering. If you want to use a pillow like last week, we can. Kind of elevate our hips above our knees so that we can get the natural curve in our lower back. We want to sit straight up, zipping up through our spine, relaxing our shoulders away from our knees. And then placing our hands on our shoulders away from our ears. And then placing our hands on our knees. Also, if we're wearing glasses, we can take those off just for this first part. And we'll sit here and find our center, focusing on our breathing, closing our eyes, and really erasing everything that's around us. We'll sit here, breathing in through our nose, feeling the cool, clean air pass through our nostrils and into our lungs, and the warm air leaving our body through our nostrils as well. Breathing this way really clears our mind, sets us and gets us ready for this yoga practice, as well as during the day, we should be breathing like this if we want to calm our minds. And then we'll open our eyes and we'll look up towards the ceiling as we make our eyes go in a circle, following our eyelids. No skipping or straining. So if we need to do smaller circles, we can. This helps with our eyesight, and it's especially beneficial for people that are constantly looking at screens, like most of us are nowadays. And then we'll look forward and squeeze our eyes shut, and then relaxing for a breath. Then open our eyes again as we look up and go to the left this time, circling around our eyes. This also helps with memory, intuition, and development. It also helps with creativity. And then we'll look forward as we close our eyes shut, squeezing our eyes, and then relaxing for a breath. Now for our neck release, we're gonna move our neck in a circle, starting towards the right, really feeling our neck stretch out, but not straining our neck either. So if we need to do smaller circles, we can. Maybe even staying at a sticky spot to really release that tension, breathing through it. And then continuing through our circle. And then coming back to our center as we move our neck to the left now. Making however big of circles as we need to. Stopping at any place that we feel might need some extra TLC and stretching through that as well. Remembering to breathe through our nose and out through our nose. And coming back to our center, relax here for a few breaths. Zipping up through our spine, straight. Now for our shoulders, we'll start with our right hand as we move our arm in a large circle, or however large as you need to really get our shoulders working as we get ready for our yoga practice. And not going too fast either. Fast enough to get some movement in our arms. And coming back to our center as we move to the left. Keep doing that as we breathe through our noses still. Now coming back to center as we move our shoulders kind of back and forth, wiggling them out, shrugging up and down, really releasing the tension, loosening our bodies up. Now we'll come onto all fours, so our hands and our knees as we go into cat-cow, which is a relaxing pose in yoga and can have a lot of benefits as well. Releases the tension in our neck and our backs and our shoulders. We'll come into all fours, making sure that our hands and our knees are 6 inches apart. Shoulders are above our wrists, still away from our ears, and our back is in a straight line. Our neck is aligned with however is comfortable. And then on an inhale, we'll sway our back and look up towards the ceiling as we get into cow. This is cow. And then on an exhale, we'll curve our back and lower our neck, tucking our bodies, really releasing all of that air from our stomachs into cow. Cat. And then inhaling, coming back into cow. And exhaling into cat. Doing this at your own pace, whichever is comfortable. Still breathing in through our nose and out through our nose. And if we need to widen our base a little bit, we can always scoot apart our arms and our hands and our knees. This really stretches out our back as we get ready for our practice today. It also releases the tension in our back. So if we need to do a quick stretch throughout our day, this is one that is beneficial in that aspect. Coming back to our center, as we come back to our crisscross applesauce, before we stand up to do our sun salutations, we'll maybe give our bodies a little wiggle, loosen ourselves up, and then we can come to standing, finding our mountain pose or Tadasana, keeping our feet 6 inches apart, zipping up through our spines again, standing up straight, hands to heart center, maybe even closing our eyes as we find our center of balance, lifting our toes and our arches and swaying back and forth. Finding this mountain pose as we go throughout our day as well is important and crucial to full body yoga. And we can relax here for a second, lowering our toes if we lifted them. And as like last week, we'll do two sun salutations, working on our posture, And then the next two will be breathing. So we're going to lift our arms, keeping our shoulders away from our ears as well. And then swan diving down into our forward fold. Releasing our necks if that feels comfortable. Breathing here. Feeling the stretch in our quads and our thighs. We'll place our hands to our mats or the floor and bring our right foot back as we come into our lunge. If you need to curl your toes under to release some pressure in your knee, that works. And then also winding our base with our left foot. We can raise our arms here and then place our hands back to the ground, meeting our feet towards the back of our mats as we come into plank, still making sure that our hands and our feet are 6 inches apart. Relaxing our shoulders, breathing in and out through our nose. We can rest our feet, our knees now as we bring our chest and our chin to the mat into inchworm. And then laying all the way down, lifting up through our backs into cobra, making sure that it's coming from our backs, the power, so we can lift our arms here if we need to, or our hands. And then curling our toes as we come up into downward dog, making sure our feet are 6 inches apart, trying to get our heels to touch the ground. If they aren't there yet, they will eventually. So then bringing our right foot forward as we bring our left knee down into our lunge. Knee is over our ankle and pressing out towards our pinky toe. So we should just be able to see maybe 3 toes. We'll raise our arms and we'll bring them down to the mat as we come back into our forward fold, meeting our feet together again. And then rolling out through our spines as we come back to mountain pose. Now we'll do it again. We'll raise our hands up and then swan dive down into mountain pose. Still 6 inches apart. Releasing our neck if it's comfortable. Maybe even swaying our neck a few times. Placing our hands to the mat as we bring our left foot back, resting our left knee up to the mat, coming into our lunge, widening our base if we need to, pressing out towards our pinky toe, our knees out towards our pinky toes, and curling our back toes if we need to, raising our arms, bringing our hands back to the mat, bringing our feet to the back of the mat as we come into plank. We want to tilt our tailbone down so that we can feel it in our core here. We also want our hands to be 6 inches apart and our fingers are fanned out like so. Dropping our knees, meeting our chest to our thumbs, and resting our chin to the mat into inchworm. And then laying down flat, pressing up into cobra, feeling the stretch in our back, curling our toes as we press up into downward dog, making sure that our shoulders are still relaxed and away from our ears. bringing our left foot forward, resting our right knee to the mat, curling our toes if we need to, then raising our arms, bringing them down to the mat, meeting our feet together into our forward fold. And then slowly rolling our bodies up. Adding a little back bend, placing our hands to the back of our backs, the lower back, bending a little bit to neutralize our spine as we bring our hands to heart center. Now, incorporating the breath, let's sit here for a second. Breathing in through our nose and out through our nose. And then on an inhale, we'll raise our arms and exhale, coming down into forward fold. We'll hold here for one breath, 2 breaths, and 3 breaths. Placing our hands to the mat as we exhale, bringing our right foot to the back into our lunge. We'll inhale, raising our arms up, and exhale, come forward, meeting our feet to the back of the mat into plank. Holding here for 1 breath, 2 breaths, and 3 breaths. On an inhale, we'll rest our knees to the mat, bring our chest to our thumbs into inchworm, and exhale, come up into cobra. Holding here for a breath. And then inhale as we push our bodies up into downward dog. Holding here for 1 breath, 2 breaths, and 3 breaths. We'll bring our right foot forward, resting our left knee to the mat. We'll raise our hands on an inhale and exhale, meeting our hands to the mat, bringing our feet forward, holding here for 1 breath, 2 breaths, and 3 breaths. And then we'll inhale as we roll our spine back up into Tadasana. And exhale as we go into a little back bend. And then inhaling our hands to heart center. One more time. We'll inhale, raising our arms. Exhale, come down into forward fold. 1 breath. 2 breaths. 3 breaths. Then we'll put our hands to the mat, bring our right foot back. And we'll inhale, raising our arms. And exhale, meeting them to the mat, bringing our feet to the back of the mat into plank. Holding here for 1 breath, 2 breaths, and 3 breaths. Resting our knees to the ground as we go into inchworm. Exhaling into cobra. Resting as we go into downward dog. And on an inhale, holding here for 1 breath, 2 breaths, and 3 breaths. We'll bring our right foot forward as we rest our left knee. Inhaling, raising our arms. Exhaling, placing our hands to the mat, meeting our feet together into the forward fold. Breathing here for 1, 2, and 3. And then on an inhale, slowly rolling our backs into mountain pose. Exhaling into a little back bend. And inhaling, hands to heart center. Okay. Now I want to work on some standing poses this week, kind of add things in little by little. So this week we'll do our triangle poses. So starting in our mountain pose, finding our center of gravity. We'll turn our right foot to the front of the mat and stretching out our legs just a little bit. Maybe, I think it's like 3 feet or so. Just enough so that you can feel a stretch. And then we'll slowly lift our left arm up as we come forward towards our right foot, and then relaxing our hand as we bring our hands to our right foot. Making sure that we feel the stretch in our side right here, as well as our thighs and our quads and our right side. So like left side, right leg is where we should be feeling the stretch. And then to come out of this pose, we'll do an inhale as we bend our knee and then inch our way back up into standing. Now the other knee, I forgot to mention, we want to point our toes forward. So the back foot, so in this instance, the right foot is going to be parallel to our mat, where our left foot is perpendicular. So pointing forward. That way, coming out of the pose reduces injury. We'll inhale and raise our right arm over to our side as we come down and then resting our hands by our feet. Even if our hands don't reach our feet and we're just on our ankles, that's totally fine. Just making sure that we're feeling that stretch in our right side now and our left leg. Still breathing in and out through our nose. And then coming out of the pose, we'll bend our leg as we come back up to standing. Now we'll do a wide-legged forward fold here. Since we're already in a wide-legged stance, we'll make our feet parallel to the mat, so all facing forward. And then hinging from our hips, we'll just slowly come forward and then resting our hands wherever they lay. Releasing our head and relaxing our neck, maybe even twisting from side to side to release the pressure from the neck. Releasing the tension from our shoulders as well as we just let our hands hang here, wherever they are, whether that's the floor or our ankles, our feet, wherever that may be, to really get the full stretch here. From here, we'll place our hands to the mat and slowly heel toe ourselves back into a forward fold with our feet 6 inches apart. Staying in this forward fold for a moment. And then whenever we're ready, slowly rounding our bodies into Tadasana. Now to neutralize our backs, let's go into a little back bend here. Just placing our hands on our lower back Stretching here for a moment. And then twisting from side to side when we come back to mountain pose. And then coming back to mountain pose whenever we're ready. We'll move on to our sitting poses. So sitting cross-legged here. We'll go into bound angle first. So we'll put our feet together and bring our feet as close to our crotch area as you can. Making sure that our legs are as close to the ground as they can comfortably without straining or injuring ourselves here. And then whenever you're ready, you can hinge forward from our hips, keeping our back straight still. Shoulders are still relaxed as we come forward to get the maximum stretch in our quad, in our groin area, our quads. Making sure our shoulders are still relaxed away from our ears and we're breathing in and out through our nose. And then whenever you're ready to come back into bound angle here, slowly coming forward, coming back up to center. Now we'll go into Janu Sirsasana. I can never say that right, so I'm sorry. We'll place our right foot out as we rest our left foot to our knee, not on our knee, but right above our knee. So our thighs, quads. Then having our knee to the floor as comfortable as we can. We'll raise our hands up and then come forward, hinging from our hips, making sure our back is still straight and touching wherever our hands lay comfortably, whether that be just our leg or our ankles or maybe even our feet. But we don't want to strain ourselves here to prevent injuries. Making sure our back is still as straight as it can. Shoulders are still relaxed. And then bringing our hands back up by our arms by our ears as we hinge back up. And exhale, coming back to bound angle here. We'll sit here for a moment as we neutralize our bodies. And then we'll bring our left foot forward, placing our right foot to our thighs. We'll inhale, raise our arms up, and exhale, hinge forward, trying to touch our feet with our hands. Making sure our back is still straight, zipped up through our spines. Breathing in and out through our noses. And then bringing our hands back up as we hinge our bodies back to our center. And sitting crisscross applesauce. As we relax here for a moment, really feel the stretch that came from our legs just then. Maybe even placing our feet in front of us and jiggling our legs just a little bit to release that tension. Now we're going to do a bridge pose. So we're going to lay on our backs and then place our feet so that we're at like 45-degree angle, or no, not 45 degree. I don't know what degree it is, but so that we're comfortable just placing our feet flat on the mat and that our knees are above our ankles. There, that's what I was looking for. And now it's really important that we don't move our neck while we're in this pose. So we're going to lay down, place our hands to the mat, and then on an exhale or on an inhale, we'll bring our hips up and squeezing our buttocks as we come into a bridge pose here. And then exhale, releasing and relaxing. We'll inhale, raise our hips up towards the ceiling, squeezing, and exhale, relaxing and releasing. Inhale, rise, squeezing, and exhale, release and relax. Now we'll just flop our knees from side to side, getting ready to close out today. And then finding a side that we like to push up out of the pose completely. We'll come sitting crisscross applesauce again. Zipping up through our spines, relaxing our shoulders away from our ears, placing our hands to our knees, closing our eyes here. Now, we'll come into Savasana, where we're laying down on our mats with our heels meeting the corners of our mats and spreading our arms wide enough so that our armpits can get some energy in them. Laying down and closing our eyes. Relaxing here as we get the full benefit from today's practice. We'll lay here and then we'll focus on our 3-part breath, which is focusing on making the breath start from our stomachs, raising our stomach, and then filling our air with the ribs and then the lungs. So really focus on raising the stomach first and then the chest. And then exhaling all the way through, kind of like we're vacuum cleaners, sucking all of that air out. Then inhale through the belly, the ribs, and the lungs. And exhaling from the lungs, the ribs, and then the belly. All the way through, trying to touch your belly button to the floor. Breathing in through our nose, raising our belly. All the way until we hit our lungs so that our chest can rise. And then exhaling, lowering our chest, emptying out our stomachs. We'll do this 3 more times on our own. As soon as we're done with those 3 breaths, we'll bring our breath back to normal. Still laying here in Shavasana. Just taking however big and however small breaths that we need to in order to find our calm breathing technique. Still breathing in and out through our noses. Feeling what we're feeling here. The stretches from our legs, poses that we did today. Getting that benefit from those poses. Maybe it was the tension that you had in your shoulders and realizing that you had it there. Now feeling the difference that your shoulders feel. Maybe your mind is even more calm now. As you guys get ready for your Saturday morning class. Whenever you're ready, still keeping our eyes closed, we'll come back into our center seating pose with our legs crisscrossed applesauce. Hands are going to be on our knees. Shoulders relaxed and away from our ears. Sitting here, zipping up through our spines, feeling that natural curve in our lower back. Faces looking forward. We'll roll our necks out again, getting that full stretch, whichever way you guys want this time. Kind of do it however long that you need to. Maybe even just doing half circles, going back and forth. Pulling our arm away from us, whichever side that we're at. Getting that full stretch. Moving on to our shoulders as we just gently roll them from forward and backwards. Wherever we need. Loosening our bodies. Feeling how calm that we feel here. And then maybe rocking our bodies from side to side. Forward and backward. Releasing the tension in our hips. Keeping our eyes closed as we bring our legs out in front of us. As we roll our ankles, maybe even. Then maybe even flopping our legs from side to side. Wiggling our bodies. And then maybe even at the same time, rolling our wrists. Changing the circular motion. And coming back into our crisscross applesauce. Sitting here, remembering whatever intention we had for last week, picking maybe a different one or the same one that we had to really focus on letting go of the tension that we have in our lives or our bodies. Remembering this feeling that we're feeling now, relaxed and stretched out. Maybe releasing the tension from our minds and remembering to breathe in and out through our noses. Maybe releasing some tension in our backs, doing our cat-cow poses. Or the tensions in our legs as we do our forward folds, either wide-legged or from Tadasana. Focusing on whatever we're going to change this next week. And reminding ourselves that we can achieve that. That concludes our class today. Thank you all for joining me. And we'll see you next week.